Hi, everyone. This is Lin Bouthillier from linbouthillier.com. I'm a certified trauma recovery coach, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of one of my series, and it's called Catching Myself Feeling Good. And I wanted to share with you a little bit today because these are my videos where I don't speak about heavily traumatic issues. And I don't speak directly about um, what's the best way to say it? Things that are events that happen in my life or that are happening in multiple people's lives around the world or anything like that. This is a video series that I started a while back because it's lighter. It's it's about feeling good. That's why it's entitled Catching Myself Feeling Good. You'll notice that if you want to differentiate between my regular videos, which are Monogamous at 13, and the Catching Myself Feeling Good series, Catching Myself Feeling Good series, you will always see me wearing this. I will have on yellow. And that's just to remind the viewers it's a Catching Myself Good Feeling Good video, and that it's not usually going to involve the heavy stuff in one of these. So I had, got up this morning and I was thinking about a couple of things that had happened recently. So this is going to be a video on the shorter side, but it's going to include two things. So I'm going to get the first one that was something that made me feel good. And at first, when I tell it to you, you might say, Lynn, what are you talking about? This is something that doesn't feel good. But if you stick with me for a minute or two, you'll be able to hear how it kind of turns into something that worked out really well. So I had to go to a local hospital yesterday and have a very, very routine test done. And it was something that needed to be done because my mother, when she was alive, had multiple different health problems. And over her lifetime, she had multiple different forms of cancer. And she was a person who had wonderful outcomes with each one of her different forms of cancer, which we were all extremely grateful for when it was happening. But there's one that doesn't really get a significant surgical treatment, it just gets maintained. And that type of cancer, I started to have a symptom. I had something that could have been a symptom for that, and I got on it right away. I had gone to my doctor, and the doctor said, no, that needs to be checked out, and we're going to send you to have this test, but the test has to be done under anesthesia. And while you're under anesthesia, if they find anything, they'll just biopsy it while you're under anesthesia. You'll be at the hospital for half a day, and then when you go home, you just take it easy for the rest of the day and the day after too. And so today's the day after, and I feel great. And they told me right at the end, when I woke up, we didn't find anything suspicious. Everything is fine. It was just kind of a one-off that happened, and there's nothing for you to worry about. So that was a great thing. That is a wonderful thing to feel good about. But there is another layer of this story, and I'll give it to you really quick. This is the fast track version of the story. When I went into the hospital, I had to have someone drive me who I would prefer not to have driving me. And it's a person that I don't hold close relationship with, but I needed a driver, and there was no way around it, and I didn't know what else to do because I don't qualify for a Medicaid cab or anything like that. And I'm so glad that that service is there for those who do need it. I'm overjoyed about that. But I'm not a person who qualifies for it. It wasn't an option. And they can't, most hospitals will not allow you to take an Uber. If you have to have a procedure or a surgery and you have to have a driver, they do not allow you to have an Uber. And so the other issue is that they do require that you have somebody who stays with you for the remainder of the day because you've had general anesthesia. And so it was a little bit tricky for me to put that together, but I did it. I did it to the hospital's satisfaction. I just wasn't real pleased about who I had to ask to do that because, as I said, it's not somebody that I care to spend time with. So I ended up getting there, and the experience of just getting to the hospital with a person who can be contrary and a little bit abrasive By the time I got there, what's the first thing they do? They get you into a gown and they take your vitals. And my blood pressure was 189 over 95. And when they saw that, one of the nurses on staff said to me, you are really stressed right now. Is there something we can help with? And I told them, just briefly what it was. I didn't go into a lot of detail. And they said, yeah, that happens a lot. We see that happen a lot. So we're just going to give you a little time to settle down, and then we'll come back and redo it. So they came back and redid it, and it was still high. And then one of the other nurses on the staff that was working with my nurse came in and said, we have this thing that we do. Me and my friends here started this thing. I'm going to share it with you. Is it okay if I share it with you? And I said, super, great. I'd love to hear what it is. And she said, when we have people who come in and they're people that don't have a huge social circle, it's a challenge for them to get somebody to come and drive them and stay with them and then go home with them, or excuse me, not stay with them in the hospital, but, wait in the waiting room. And then when they get the call, take you home, pull the car up, take you home, and then stay with you, either them or somebody else, stay with you for the remainder of the day to make sure that you don't have complications from your surgery, your procedure, or your anesthesia. And so she said, we understand that we have people coming in all the time, and that they keep on saying, having this procedure is not the biggest challenge. Having somebody to fill that role for me, or if I'm a person who does not like to ask anybody for anything, it's really hard for me. I can do that for people all day long. I just have a really hard time asking anybody to do that for me. I might be one of those people. Not as much now after my trauma training, but I was for a very long time. And we can, every once in a while, that might be just a little sticking point for us. So what I ended up doing is I just said, well, can you tell me more about what you're doing? Because you told me that there's something that you do. And she said, yes, of course. She said, I started something with some of my nurse friends here, and we put ourselves on care.com, and we drive people to the hospital to have their procedures, and then we drive them back home, and we volunteer to stay with them. We schedule it, we urge the person, if you're going to utilize my services, please have the understanding in place. Your surgery might need to be scheduled for my day off or one of my colleagues' days off. But we run this service, it's private, and we've been doing it for a few years. And this way you don't have to ask a family member to come and help you. And the staff here already knows that we're providing this service. So when they say, who's here to take you home? And you say, oh, it's somebody from the, from the staff here. That's the volunteer service. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Fantastic. We know everything is being done that you need then. Thank you. That's great. And so just before I went to my procedure, she comes back. This wonderful nurse comes back with her name and her phone number written on a piece of paper and said, put this in your contacts, and I want you to go to care.com and look us up on there. And she said, you can call us at any time. If we're at work and we can't answer, we'll call you back when we have the opportunity to. And that you do not, we just solved this problem for you today. You're never having to come in here again with your blood pressure this high, trying to settle yourself back in after you've had a surgery. And the other thing she said was, when you have somebody who's very irritating and abrasive to you, because you needed them for a driver and you appreciate them and you thank them and it's great, but it doesn't change the fact that that might be a person who can really, really trigger you. And when that happens, yes, you use a grounding tool, you use your meditation and mindfulness practices and all that stuff. We use these wonderful measures to bring ourselves back into our body, to anchor ourselves into our body, and to have our groundedness. But sometimes you think you're doing that, and then they take your blood pressure, and blood pressure tells the real story. It tells you what's really going on. And it's one of the ways that we get the feedback from our body of how we feel. Blood pressure will go up. So this kind person, this wonderful, kind registered nurse said to me, this is your last time having to come in for a procedure feeling like this. And I wanted to share that with you today because part of the Catching Myself Feeling Good video for today is I asked this question. What if my friends from out of state, what if people who view my YouTube channel have the same thing happening to them, that they hate having to ask somebody to do that for them? Do you think there's a possibility that other hospitals have volunteers that do the same thing? And she laughed and she said, of course they do. Of course. There's lots of people who work in hospitals who are doing service like this. She said, the only thing I can suggest is that you ask your friends, and I have no affiliation with care.com, none whatsoever. But if you go to care.com and you put in a search for volunteer drivers for medical procedures in your area, you absolutely might get the exact same thing. So I wanted to share that with you because to me that's just fantastic. It thrills me that there are people who are out in our world, that they take care of us in the most wonderful way when they're doing their professional job in a hospital. And what do they do on their day off? They keep caring. And I hope that they take excellent care of themselves. But I truly believe that they wouldn't be volunteering to do that unless it was exactly what they wanted. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My gratitude is straight from my heart, and it goes out to every person who does that kind of work. And today, especially for the volunteers who make it so that people can get to their procedures and back home and be supervised appropriately without having any discomfort. And I just think it's the greatest thing in the world. And of course, we can give them a gratuity, but they don't. This one that I spoke to, they don't charge; they volunteer. So I thought that was just phenomenal. But I couldn't imagine doing that without giving them, something for their gas and their time. But it's not required. And so for those of us who are having a little bit of financial strain or things like that, no worries. There are volunteers, and they don't expect anything from you other than to just give them a call. So the next thing about Catching Myself Feeling Good topic today is that we're in midwinter. I live in, as many of you know, upstate New York. Actually, it's upstate Western New York. And that our winter this year has been particularly gray and icy and long. And it's been quite snowy, but not severely snowy for the most part. But it's been full blast winter. And a week ago, we were having days that were in single digits, or maybe about 10 days ago or so. It warmed up to be in the 40s, and I remember being in school and having to remember what causes fog. And with some kids that were in my grade, I was in high school, and we figured out how to remember it, what causes fog outside. And they made this little thing. They were just going like this: cold ground, warm air, fog. Cold ground, warm air, fog. And that's just the way we learned it. Cold ground, warm air, fog. Well, we had some mighty cold ground. Everything was frozen over. We had a really deep freeze. And then some 40 degrees weather rolled in, and what did we get? We got fog all over the place. And I know that fog can be dangerous. I understand that. It's nothing to joke around about. Because there are certain areas of our world that fog really, really heavily, and people can have significantly bad things happen from that. I get that. I understand it. But when it is a fog here, and it can be just beautiful. And so I was really enjoying the fog out in our yard. Went outside to let the dogs out very late at night, and that's when I first noticed that it had fogged. And then I started to see little fox footprints around the front of my house. And I noticed out there that there had been a very large wild rabbit that came through. Must have been a big old buck, because his hind kickers' footprints were huge and wide. And that just absolutely thrilled me to see that there's a really big wild rabbit out there. I didn't get a sighting of him, but he did leave his footprints in the snow. And it was just absolutely lovely to be out there in that and seeing the proof that these little creatures are still coming to my yard, and I love it. My dogs absolutely love smelling the footprints of them too. The fresher, the better for them. But and here's the last thing for my video today about catching myself feeling good. I wanted to share with you something that's a way that you can catch yourself feeling good, because if you have a device, an electronic device, if you have any form of computer or cell phone, you can look this up. And not everyone is a Beach Boys fan, and I've never referred to myself out in the world as a dyed-in-the-wool Beach Boys fan. I'm a person who grew up with them coming into full popularity, and sometimes there were a couple Beach Boys specials or Beach Boys appearances. They were on variety shows and things like that. And my parents would just stop what they were doing and get in front of the TV, turn the sound up, and listen to them. And when I became a teenager, for me, every kind of rock music was my thing. That's what I was into in high school. And I had a couple friends who were still absolutely wild about the Beach Boys and had all of their albums and everything, but I just never was a collector of their music. And then I remember my father saying to me, I love their music because people think it's really simple, but it's incredibly complex. And one of the things that I found on my phone is well, there's a whole bunch of them, but they're the lost videos. They're the lost videos, or just the old. They're not lost, but they're old black and white studio videos of the Beach Boys making recordings. One of my favorites is I Can Hear Music. It's live film of them making that recording, and it's absolutely beautiful. Excuse me, I meant to say Carl Wilson's voice in that video just rings with absolute clarity. It's amazing, and I've probably listened to that 500 times. It's just absolutely wonderful. And what it does for me, that video, is if I am feeling low about anything, I can put that video on, and it immediately takes me into a higher place of feeling good. There's another one, and this is I'm going to share it with you now. It would have, it's most likely got to be a cousin of Mike Love or some relation of Mike Love, but the channel is Glenn, GLENNW Love, and because there aren't all that many people that have that as their last name, it makes me wonder if they're related. But anyways, the video title is Good Vibrations, the Lost Studio Version, or studio footage. And I watched that a couple times, and I have to tell you, two of my favorite Beach Boys are Carl Wilson and Dennis Wilson. Dennis Wilson, in this video, Good Vibrations, the Lost Studio footage, there are several of them around a hanging microphone, and they've got their headphones on, and they're singing their harmonies. And again, this particular song is an incredibly complex arrangement. You can see Carl Wilson conducting them a little bit. He's standing next to the organ player, and he is conducting and giving direction for certain notes to be played a little harder and a little heavier. I think he says, at one point, just go really long and heavy on the D flat. And it says in the description of this video that they recorded this in, I think it was 4 different studios and 6 different recording sessions, if I'm not mistaken. And I can check it right now so I get it accurate. Yeah, it says the song was recorded over a period of about 6 months in 4 different studios. I'm glad I checked because I had it wrong. And he says, I'm guessing this film was recorded in a day and is probably more or less lip synced and acted for the purpose of promotion. Bassist Carol Kay played on several of the Good Vibrations sessions and has been identified as a prominent contributor to the track. However, analysis by Beach Boys archivist Craig Slowinski indicates that none of those recordings made the final edit as released on a single. So I hope that has cleared that up. No more dopey comments. I'll delete and block you. But getting back to this, so this might have been a live recording session, or it may not have been, but it is actual lost studio footage. And when we listen to it sure appears to me in this video that they are absolutely performing the song. It's just, it might not have actually been recorded at the moment. It might have just been a reenactment of the recording part, okay? But I was starting to tell you about my personal two favorite Beach Boys. And for the rest of my life and for always, I will always, always, always love how beautifully Carl Wilson sang. And his voice just has such a clear, bright, beautiful, wonderful sound. And I've never heard anyone in the world that has the ability to do that the same way. And it's really special and beautiful. And the other one is, of course, Dennis Wilson. And in this video that I'm speaking about, you know, Good Vibrations, the lost studio footage, there's just this flash of a second where the camera is on Dennis Wilson's face and he looks right in the camera and he winks and he smiles. And I think to the people who are missing Dennis Wilson, and that is many, 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 many people, including his own family, they must just absolutely love that moment. They've probably watched it thousands of times to see that big smile and the wink, which means it's all cool. I'm really, really happy right now. And I feel good. And he was singing the song about feeling good and showing on camera that he was feeling good while singing a song about feeling good. And I just thought that was really beautiful and I wanted to share it with you. Because if that song comes on the radio, if you hear it performed live somewhere, and there's lots of bands that cover that, of course, you can go into, you know, in the summertime, you can go to a beach club or anything like that, and you might hear a Beach Boys cover band there or something, but you can't hear that song without just going in. I mean, if I hear it on a radio in my car, my hand immediately goes to turn up the volume, and it's just fantastic. And so I will tell you another one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. I'll back up for just a second. The musical composition of Good Vibrations as a child, when it first came out, I mean, that song came out when I was just a little kid. And I couldn't understand the complexity and the beauty of the composition of that incredible song. As an adult, to me, it's just delicious. There's no other way for me to put it. It's just absolutely divine. And it makes me just a tiny bit sad that as a younger person, I wasn't appreciating the Beach Boys the way I could have and the way I wish now that I did. But I am doing it now, so that makes me feel good. But the last thing about their music I wanted to share with you is there's another song, and I think that was from the late 60s as well. Multiple different recordings of it, but the song Do It Again. That is another Beach Boys song that as soon as I hear the first 3 notes of that song, I am immediately feeling good. I just absolutely love it. I love the topic of the song. I love the, just everything about it. Love the melody. I love how it's just a fun song. And it will put, I think, just about any person into a toe-tapping good mood, even if you, just before it came on, you were feeling a little bit low. And of course, Lynn is not talking about taking our bad feelings and just blowing them out of the room or stuffing them down into our pinky toe so that we don't have to process them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we can recognize at any given moment throughout our day, every single day, unendingly, we can just claim a moment and say, right now, this feels good. I appreciate that this feels good, and I can feel my energy, my vibration rising because of this experience. And when we can feel it in our body, the only place we can truly feel it is in our body. That's why we call these things feelings. But we can have emotions that come with it, of course. So when we have that moment and we recognize that we're feeling good, every single cell of our body is feeling good. We can actually get to that point from recognizing I have the capability of feeling good. And even if I can only do it for 3 minutes and a few seconds today, because that's how long a song that I love is, then I'm doing it. And I'm not saying that anybody has to. I'm saying that I've been practicing this for years. It works. It's wonderful. And I love it that such a small thing that costs us so little has such amazing impact for how we can bring ourselves into a state of feeling good. So thank you so much for being with me today. Please like the video. It will help my numbers go up on YouTube. It will help more people to find me. If you like, subscribe, and share. Put comments in the comment section, and it really helps the algorithm if you comment on another person's comments. That would be fantastic. Please share it on any platform where you think it would be helpful. If you think that there are people that would enjoy, I almost said that would listen, that would enjoy this information and might be interested in just simple ways to catch yourself feeling good, just for your own personal well-being. Share it on any platform, any blog, any place you would like to. It would thrill me. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, I love to check my comments. And if you have anything that is a topic that you would like me to do a video on, just leave it, just email me or leave the comments in the video that you're watching. Just put it in, because I almost always catch all the comments. And if you're asking for a topic video to be done, I would love to do that for you. And what I usually do is I make the video as soon as I possibly can, and then I message you back in that video's comments and say your video that you requested has now been posted, and it's there for you, and thank you for the request. So I hope all of you are taking excellent care of yourselves. I hope that you're giving yourself beautiful, wonderful, luxurious, high quality self-care, because you deserve it. It's never ever selfish. It is absolutely essential for our well-being. And just watching this video is part of excellent self-care. So I appreciate that you're doing it. The other thing is, this is the last part, and that is that if you want to work with me as your certified trauma recovery coach, I would be thrilled to be your side-by-side co-equal partner in healing, peer-to-peer relationship coaching, and help you to be able to heal your trauma and to be able to live the life that you want to live. That is the whole thing that my rest of my life is dedicated to, helping people to live the best life, to live the life they want to live. And so as long as I'm able, I will never stop bringing information to you that helps you in that direction. It means the world to me. So I have the deepest part of my heart full of gratitude today for every one of the viewers who tunes in to my channel to gain this information. I couldn't do it without you. So thank you very much. If you're interested in working with me, my email is lin@linbouthillier.com. And my phone number, you can call me anytime. If I can't pick up, if I'm with a client, or if I'm, indisposed, I'll call you back at the soonest possible time. So if you have a preferred time for a call back, just leave it in the message and I will do my best to honor that. My number is 716-994-3052. Of course, in the United States, you have to dial 1 first, and I don't know what the number dial is for any other countries. So, but anyways, it's 716-994-3052. So have the very best day, everyone. I sure appreciate you coming to watch my videos, and I hope that you take excellent care of yourself. Until next time, bye-bye.